Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from ForexNoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Thursday, the 8th of October, 2020. Time is 10 a.m. here in the UK. I'll move the chat onto the screen so I can more easily read what people are saying. So yeah, let's just dive right into the analysis, guys. There's not a whole lot to discuss today. I have to be honest. It's a bit of a slow week for us. We had a bunch of fast weeks. Fast isn't really the term to use. We had a bunch of good weeks. And usually after that, you are going to get a slow week as things kind of settle back down before the next bit of excitement, hopefully. So it's a bit of a slow week, but we'll have a look nonetheless. So AUD New Zealand, this was a trade that was not, I was not in this trade, but there were some other people in this trade. I recommended that that it be left open. So that was my recommendation, that you leave it open because it's kind of starting to trend down and it looked pretty decent. I was totally wrong on that one, but it wasn't really. It wasn't that my analysis was wrong. I still think my analysis was good. What happened was that this turned around because of a tweet. Well, it wasn't really because of a tweet. It's because of something that's happening in New Zealand. But the breaking news was on Twitter, which caused this big move. So the news was that New Zealand is considering implementing a negative interest rate, which is where this kind of got out of hand and it started shooting up. So yeah, stop loss was definitely hit on that one. Like I said, I wasn't personally in this one, but it was posted to the forum. Therefore, I was keeping track of it for you guys. It's unfortunate, guys. It happens. What can you do? Now, let's look at some potential trades. We actually had a pretty interesting start to the week this week because things were starting to line up, like AUDUSD GBPUSD. All of these were starting to line up. They were all heading towards this resistance area, and we were looking for a potential short from this resistance area. But then Trump just ruined it all for us because, I don't know, I think, honestly, this is not being political. I just think the medication he's on is making him a little crazy because he started saying some stuff that just makes absolutely zero sense if he wants to get re-elected. But then again, what the hell do I know about American politics? But he went ahead and said that he will not be negotiating a bailout for all the Americans suffering through COVID-related job loss until after the election, which is just not good for anyone, really. But then again, I've seen people arguing that it is good. So whatever, that's not important. What's important is the impact it had on the market. Kind of killed off all these potential setups for at least 48 hours. And only yesterday they were starting to get back to where they were the day before. But a lot of them never quite reached that point. Like AUDUSD and GBPUSD, for example, they never reached back to where they were a few days ago, which was around here. They're slowly making their way back. So all of these setups, well, most of these here that I marked the day before yesterday, on Tuesday, they're still setups I'm looking for. It's just they've kind of been pushed back by Trump's tweet. And now they're heading back towards that resistance area. So AUDUSD is heading back towards resistance. I am looking for a short from this resistance area. That is the 0.7210. Looking for a short from there. We'll see. We'll see when it finally reaches there if that short happens. Yeah, Colin, steroids. I mean, look. Medication does have an impact on I'm trying to think of a way to say it nicely, on your mental health, or it can affect your mood, let's just say. And Trump is known for being a little bit making kind of harsh decisions. And it seems like his meds are making him a little more harsh. So yeah, too bad for us, eh? GBPUSD heading back to where it was, still looking for a short from 1.3000. AUDJPY back to where it was already, but we need it to push up further to the 7650 level. So once it reaches there, I'll be looking for a short. CADJPY, now this one is looking okay already. It looks like it might be breaking through this resistance area, but it could also stall out here. What I'm interested in is it stalling out here on top of this resistance area. Now, right now, it doesn't look great because it's making a new high. It's at today's high. It's probably just pushed up to this high. But do remember that by the end of the day, this candle could look totally different. Just to draw an example of what it could look like, price might push up to here, then might drop back down and close with a body like this. So it might look like that by the end of the day. And what's that? That is a nice little indecision candle. So it's totally possible for that to happen. That's why I'm keeping a close eye on CADJPY and not counting it out right now. We'll see if it ends up stalling at this resistance area or if this current bullish move is going to have it break straight through resistance. EURJPY. Now this one is a lot further along than all the others. Here I'm seeing the kind of thing I want to see on these other pairs. Now this isn't traditionally the kind of setup I look for, because normally if someone shows me a setup like this, I'll say, yeah, but what about this spike down? This spike down, price stalled and turned around last time it pushed down. So what's to say it's not going to do the exact same this time? So it's not really a trade that's worth entering. But we know the cause of this spike or drop down. It was Trump's tweet. It was news-based. So I'm not as cautious about this spike down or drop down than I would be about just another one where price kind of steadily went down and then pulled back up. This is just kind of news-based. I'm willing to take a short here on EURJPY. Now, the issue with this short, today is Thursday. And, oh, actually, just I wanted to answer one thing first. Someone was asking if I'm closing out the short I took on EURJPY, but I didn't take a short on EURJPY. This was just a YouTube comment. I don't think it was from a member. I never took a short on EURJPY. I suggested a potential short here, but I never got the setup I was looking for. What I was looking for was kind of what's happening now. We're getting indecision. We're getting stalling out on resistance. When this candle closes like this, then I'll be looking for a short trade. So the problem with having a short trade on Thursday, the problem with this candle forming on Thursday is the short trade is probably not going to happen until Friday. And with all this election stuff going on in the US, I don't really want to hold a trade over the weekend. I don't want to open a new trade on Friday because I'm certainly going to have to hold it over the weekend. So I'm sorry to say I'm going to have to put this one off until Monday. If it closes as indecision today, I will be looking for a short setup, but I won't be looking for it until Monday. So just let's pretend this candle closes exactly as it is right now, so it doesn't move much for the rest of the day. I'll be looking for a short trade that looks something like this, but it won't be until Monday. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but this person is probably one of the most important people on the planet right now. President of the United States. One of the most important people on the planet. So if anyone's going to have the ability to affect the Forex market, it's going to be him. Martin, what time will I set this up on Monday? I'll just be looking literally from market open. As soon as market opens, I'll be looking. So technically speaking, that is Sunday evening. I'll just call it Monday because it's like 10, it's like 2 hours before Monday. So, uh, so yeah, probably Sunday. Just depends what it looks like at market open. If it gaps up at market open, don't set your order on Sunday before market open. Don't do that because you don't know what kind of gaps we're going to get. You don't know what's going to happen. Wait for the market to open and then set your order. But I'll update you guys over the weekend with this one, depending on how it plays out today and tomorrow. But if it's still a valid potential setup, I will do an analysis post and email on Sunday, letting you guys know my game plan for market open. That's for members only though. So you guys who are in here right now. Most laughed at, yeah. I don't. I really don't like getting political in these webinars because there's people here who are Trump supporters, there's people here who are not Trump supporters. So I try to keep it like when I'm talking about politics, I try to focus just on the impact it's having on the markets. So yeah, let's just keep it to that, guys. I don't want arguments between members about political arguments. No one wants political arguments. They're the absolute worst. People get so angry over that kind of stuff. So yeah, my talk, whenever I mention Trump, I'm just talking about the impact on the Forex market because his impact is pretty significant. And like he is an aggressive guy politically. So the steroids, just in my opinion, seem to be making him a bit more aggressive, which they've been known to do with like other people. So I think we just got to watch out with what he says because we might be in for a bumpy ride until he gets over COVID. So yeah, GBPJPY. Again, we're just waiting for price to push up to resistance. CHFJPY. Honestly, guys, I'm just taking this one off the list. I do not like this pair. It's too much of a cross pair. I'm getting rid of it off the list. There is potential, I guess, for a short there, but I'm not interested in trading this. And Euro New Zealand, this one's just off. It never really. I was waiting for price to stall out on this resistance area, but clearly it didn't stall out. It broke straight through. So bye-bye to that one. Now let's look for some new potential setups if anything else is happening. Yeah, I'm not seeing much, guys. AUD CAD possible long, you say? This support area here, it's pretty unclear. It's pretty messy around the support area. The last move up was an extremely strong move and it failed completely right here. So with a uncertain support area, a weak support area, let's say, and a previous failure up here, I do not see a potential long trade here. I just don't see it. This, to me, people considering this trade, and I could be totally wrong here about some of you, but I think that this is a example of what was the failure because of Trump. Trump's move was 3 days ago. You can see it clearly on GBPUSD here. Trump's tweet, the move inspired by Trump's tweet. Whereas with AUD CAD, this move up here was, or are you talking about that, which was in relation to Trump's tweet? But that move there was not. Yeah, so what was I saying? I was saying this is a weaker support area. And oh no, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. Was the failure, was the drop back down because of Trump? Yeah, that was. But that being said, it was for 4 days just moving sideways here. So even though the drop back down was related to the tweet, it's not like it was looking good before that. For 4 days, it was moving sideways, and it just didn't look good. So I wouldn't really say that this trade would have went well if it wasn't because of Trump. So we got a weak support area. Oh, damn it. Got a weak support area. Then we got price having stalled out here last time. And any setup like this that people are looking at right now, I would say it's a symptom of wanting to get into a trade on a slow week. So the desire to trade overriding your sensible side, in which you would say that trade's not worth taking, it's way too risky. Now, I'm not saying all of you are doing this. Maybe for some of you, you just cannot see why this trade's too risky. But I'm sure there's also some of you who are looking at this and saying, I'll enter this trade just purely out of boredom or out of just a desire to trade. Because when a new trader starts trading, they are always thinking, well, I'm a trader now, or I'm trying to be a trader, and a trader's job is to take trades, so I need to take trades. And progressively, as you get into a slow week, you start to accept riskier and riskier trades just because you want to take a trade. So I encourage you to look at this trade objectively and look at its weak points and see if it's really worth trading. And ask yourself, if we had some great setups on other pairs like AUDUSD GBPUSD, would I even be considering this as a valid trade? If the answer to that is no, then you should probably not be taking the trade. And I just don't think this is a trade worth taking. So Lisa is asking, well, I wouldn't call it fear of missing out, because I see fear of missing out more as this could be classed as fear of missing out, but what I'm talking about isn't fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is fear of missing out on a setup, so you just enter quickly without doing analysis on it. Or fear of missing out on a move, so you enter an inferior trade because of a move, because you think it's going to go up. So that could be what's happening here for some people. But I see this more as just jumping into a crappy trade out of boredom. So I see it as a different problem. But hey, it could also be fear of missing out. You are right with that, because someone could be looking at this and saying, well, I think AUD CAD's going up. I don't want to miss that move, but the setup itself is pretty crappy. So I'm going to enter. That's fear of missing out, and that could also be what's happening here with some people. But my advice is just do not lower your standards because you're bored or because you really want to take a trade. That's a road to failure. Because once you get in that habit, you're going to keep doing it. You're going to be taking worse and worse trades, and your win rate's just going to go down drastically. You're going to start making mistakes. I don't see this as a valid setup. And Lisa was asking, why is it a weak support area? That's a good question. Only recently, this support area was broken completely, and then price went back up through it. So price smashed down through it. So you could argue that the support area is in fact here. And there could be a pretty decent argument for that, where price was stalling out here. But then there's some indication that the support area is actually here. And some indication that the support area is here. But the reality is, this is just a whole mess of support. Through here, there's a whole lot of support. It's a very, very messy area. There's loads of buyers throughout this whole zone here. And with this trade, you are at the very, very top end of where support starts. And that's usually the weakest point. So this is the very top end of where support starts, right? You can see that from here. But price seems to be able to pretty easily get through this point here. So you're jumping into a long trade at a point where price can pretty easily break through. It's shown us that with the last two times it was down here. It showed us how easily it can break through this support area here. So if you're going long, low into this whole zone of support here, so if you're going long down here, that's a lot more reliable because price seems to struggle to get this low. But price doesn't seem to struggle to get through this kind of top part. It did so there. It did so there. Yeah, it's not really a clearly defined support area. There are clearly defined support areas like this one. This one's pretty clearly defined in comparison to this one anyway. It's not the most clearly defined resistance area I've ever seen. Definitely not. AUDCAD just doesn't seem to have that many clearly defined areas. But it is more clearly defined than this one. This one is not clearly defined. It's a pretty... Like realistically, I don't like drawing wide areas and having them all over my chart. It's just a mess. But realistically, this whole zone is an area of support. And my rule of thumb is if I'm looking for a long trade, I don't take the trade from the top of a wide area of support. I wait for price to reach the bottom, or I just don't take the trade at all, which is my move on AUDCAD. I'm just not going to trade from this zone because it's too messy. So yeah, I don't like this at all. And I think even if it does go up from here, right? Totally possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's totally possible. There's a huge chance of it stalling out here, like it did last time. So let's say we enter on a pullback. We enter here, just being generous, very generous, because it's going to be tough to get that entry. You would have to enter pretty much here, and then to get a 2-hour target, you'd have to enter here, which is, like I said, a very, very generous entry. And then you would have to target beyond where all these bodies were closing, which is going to be a barrier. Very potentially going to be a barrier next time price pushes up here. You're going to have a pretty tight entry. Now, realistically, the entry is going to be up here. That's a more realistic entry. And at that point, you have 0.68. Even if you put a ridiculously tight stop loss, you got like 0.75R. It's just not worth it. A trader's number one goal is not to make money, it's to protect the money they have already. So protect your capital, that's your number one goal. Entering bad trades just for the sake of entering a trade is breaking that number one rule. Protecting your capital. That's putting your capital at unnecessary risk. It's unnecessary risk of your capital, which you should never do. So that question from CMAX sparked off a whole long discussion, but yeah, I hope that's useful to you guys. My advice overall, guys, is just learn to deal with weeks like this, weeks when nothing much happens. Learn to deal with them. They're gonna come. Doesn't matter what strategy you trade. Doesn't matter. Nothing. Every single strategy out there has boring weeks, right? And the sooner you learn to deal with them and to just accept that, hey, it's a week off of trading, a week to do something else, a week to focus on someone else, the better trader you'll become. Because you know what I've been doing this week? I've been mostly just working on, I bought a house recently. I'm really enjoying doing DIY. It's a lot of fun for me. And woodworking, that's what I've been doing. Instead of sitting at my computer trading, I've been like, hey, not much is going on. Let's get some other stuff done. It's been great fun. I know that might sound silly to some people because apparently all my friends hate DIY with a passion, but I actually love it. Oh yeah, play golf. I'm not a fan of golf personally. Plus, it's kind of too rainy here for golf. Do you play golf in the rain? Oh yeah, George does like DIY. He's been fixing up his van. Jackson likes DIY. Nice. There's one thing I miss about Australia, Colin. Ooh, my uncle used to brew wine. Like back in Australia, he had a home vineyard in his backyard. Every year he used to make wine. It's pretty cool. I was like 14, I used to sneak into his garage and steal some wine from the barrels. A little underage drinking, which I don't recommend. But yeah, I did it. I never got caught, but I did get caught playing with a lighter in his garage, and he also stored petrol in there. He was not happy about that. At all. Yeah, SGDJPY. It's you're building an observatory. Wow, that is interesting. Let's take a quick look at SGDJPY for you. What's this area here? Yeah, makes sense to have it there. Dennis. You make a very good point. Let's add this one to the list. Not a pair I commonly trade, but not a pair I'm against trading. Definitely some potential there. Short from resistance here. Yeah, Flav, I was thinking about building a pizza oven. And I thought that was a big project. An observatory sounds like a ridiculously big project. But it also sounds awesome. Should definitely post that to the forum. To the pub section. But yeah, guys, potential short here. Thanks for that one, Dennis. Price stalling out on resistance. Well, not yet, but it's starting to potentially stall out on resistance. So potential short from here. Looks good. Looks good. But all right, guys. I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys very much for attending. I'll see you for Tuesday's analysis, but of course, if you remember, I'll see you on the forum before that. So yeah, thank you guys very much, and bye. Actually, no, sorry, not bye yet. I'll just wait for questions if there are any. See you, Mac, I already checked the other pairs. Did you show up late or something? I looked through all pairs. And Flav, yeah, I do. I love cooking. Like most Italians, I grew up in the kitchen. Cooking is one of my favorite activities. I'll post some of the cooking I do to the forum, actually. May as well. But yeah, guys, let's wrap this one up. Thank you very much for attending, and I'll see you for Tuesday's analysis, which should be at 10 a.m. But obviously, like I said, I'll see you before then on the forum, if you remember. Thank you very much, and see you later.